It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And if you happen to befriend Adam Sandler between 1984 and 1994, you would likely
Damn.
have a multi-billion-dollar box office resume. In this 10-year stretch, Adam basically met everyone he would end up working closely with on films for the rest of his 30-year career. This group helped Sandler dominate Hollywood, whether they were writing, producing, directing,
1984?
or sharing the screen with him. You could argue that Adam Sandler does not like making new friends. The only people added to the Sandlerverse in the 2000s were Nick Swardson and Kevin James. And yeah, Adam is definitely a good guy.
Oh, like a good guy. He's a good dude, bro. Like when you say a good guy, like he's actually the definition of those words.
All these years, but he
Seriously.
also needs them more than you realize. Comedy and cinema fans have been debating on whether or not Adam Sandler is funny since the 80s. However, even he knew he wasn't that funny, which is why he carefully crafted an army of yes men who were great at making Adam Sandler films, but wouldn't find much success without him. The real reason why Adam exploded into superstardom is actually more mysterious than you'd think. Today we are going to take a closer look into the Sandler squad who helped him build a Hollywood mediocre movie
Why the fuck
machine.
was Chris
That
Rock in that
machine would
B-roll?
lead to one of the most debated legacies of all
That
time.
nigga was in a
What
lot of
keeps
his
you in the
movies.
game? It seems
Oh
almost.
man, I was so crazy when I was young. I just thought, like, yeah, I'm gonna be huge. I'm some psychotic.
Delusion. The dream of becoming a Hollywood star is often shut down by the people around you. They will call you crazy.
Facts.
You're never gonna make it, they'd say. Adam was delusional, but that's exactly what you need to be to succeed. From the moment he decided to
Oh,
be
wow.
a comedian at age 17, he
You want me to
convinced
check,
as many
like-
people as he could to believe in his delusional dream.
gonna have
Adam
thousands of
arrived
people
at
doing
New
this one
York
day.
University's Tisch School of the Arts in 1984, where he would be surrounded by thousands of other students pursuing artistic careers. His roommate, Tim Herlihy, would be the very first member of the Sandler Dream Team. Tim would go on to write Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, The Waterboy, Mr.
damn,
Deeds,
damn,
Bedtime Stories,
damn,
Pixels, QB
damn,
Halloween, as
damn.
well as working on multiple other Adam Sandler productions. Tim has also made his fair share of
Damn, he
on-screen
bold.
cameos, like the fireman in Mr. Deeds, or the bouncing kangaroo in Big Daddy.
I'm a singing kangaroo and I'm from far away. I like to hop, hop, hop all day.
Yo, shows was so much, and movies and shit was so much simpler back in the day. Man, if I see some shit like that in the theaters right now, bro, you know how quick I'm walking out that bitch. I don't know why our standards just changed, bro.
Every single creation that Tim has acted or produced in his entire career was for Sandler, which makes sense because he never intended on being in Hollywood. Tim Herlihy was actually an accountant, pursuing a law degree, and was never considered by his friends and family to be funny, but he was enamored by Adam's charisma. Tim said he was extremely outgoing, his mouth going a mile a minute, and funny and all over the place. It was kind of a sight to behold. As a fun hobby, Tim began writing jokes
Little
for Adam's
Glazy.
stand-up comedy in their Brittany Hall dorm room. Adam would practice his one-liners to strangers in front of the coffee shop below his living quarters. As he got more confidence, he started hustling at comedy clubs, Pips, and Catch a Rising Star. But Adam and Tim were not funny enough to consistently get laughs from the comedy club crowd, so they decided to recruit another member to the Sandler squad to help write more material. Adam became intrigued by a young man called Frank Karachi who lived down the hall. Adam said at NYU he always frosted his hair. He had a mohawk. Girls loved him. He went to Dance Terry a lot. He went to a lot of cool clubs. He was the lord of the 80s. Frank aspired to write and direct
The Lord of the 80s, bro.
That's wild.
Get off your fucking knee pad.
films. He made short films in college and often had Adam star in them. He was the first person to direct Adam Sandler on a video production. Frank would go on to direct The Wedding Singer, The Waterboy, Click, Zookeeper, Here Comes the Boom, Blended, and The Ridiculous Six. In fact, the only movies Frank Karachi directed for the first 20 years were Sandler's projects. Frank recently stopped working with
That's what that
Sandler
nigga
and
Ryan
just released
Coogler
his
need to
most
do.
critically acclaimed film of his entire career. Perhaps instead of goofy comedies, biographical documentaries were always his calling, and maybe working with Sandler was holding him back. Then again, if Sandler didn't consistently hire Frank to be his director, he might not have had a career to begin with. Plus, Adam and the gang loved to portray wacky side characters, and where would we be without Frank's portrayal of Bobby Boucher's dad, Roberto?
Bobby, it's me, your daddy, Roberto.
Daddy?
You know, I seen you on the ESPN when they was talking about you being drafted by the NFL.
Adam's routine in 1985 would be
Why
going
y'all
to a
niggas
comedy
laughing?
club on Monday, absolutely bomb, come back to the dorms and revise his material with Tim and Frank, and by Friday have figured out a way to make it better. His comedic persona was the everyman who makes relatable jokes enhanced with silly voices.
I can talk about wet dreams. You know, I'm young. Wet dreams kind of ruined my whole life, you know? There's only so many times you can tell your mother you lost your underwear.
Every NYC comic in the 80s knew to get recognized you had to perform at the comic strip. Comedy legends such as Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld, and Robin Williams were a few of the many that laid their comedic
Well, I always
foundations
wanted to
here.
go there.
Adam was able to land himself an audition and immediately impress the booking agent, Lucien Hold. He was only 19 years old and I signed him up immediately. He had all clean stuff, very quirky, very cute. I thought, this guy is really good. It's interesting that Lucien described Sandler with quirky and cute instead of funny. It's evident that Adam had star power, or it factor, and sometimes it factor is unexplainable. You either have it or you don't. You will notice this becomes a trend in Adam's career. All of his friends talk about how they had a gut feeling about Adam. It wasn't necessarily that he was the funniest, they just knew he could be a star, but Adam thought he sucked.
I don't think I'm not as sharp as some of the other guys that we grew up with. Like, and I wasn't
Where's he from?
as prepared when things went off.
In other words, you didn't memorize your stuff?
I
You didn't
tried to,
hone
but
it?
I
Yeah.
would choke. I would choke memorizing my jokes, and I would panic, and I would see stars and stuff, and I was gulping up.
Sandler admits he wasn't the best at stand-up, but he knew it was necessary for him to learn if he wanted to have a career in comedy, film,
York?
and television. Luckily, he would meet a new funny friend
Them
who
niggas from
actually
Philly.
had interest in pursuing a comedy career.
You
Alan
swear to
Covert
God.
sat next to him in a history of comedy class at
niggas from
NYU where they
Philadelphia. They
bonded
just
over their
said New
love
York.
for the
What the
film
fuck?
Caddyshack. Adam invited Alan back to the Brittany Hall dorms and locked him in with the team.
I used to
Brooklyn.
open up for him when he would do college tours doing stand-up, and I was at an opening act, which was it's a tough job.
Why is that?
Well, Sandler fans, they don't come to see just comedians. They come to see Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just
Yeah,
nothing
that
in the
nigga
world
got
like standing in front of
motion.
6,000 people, and before you even say a word, they just all scream, "You suck!"
They started "You Suck" chant.
Yeah, the minute you walk on stage, the guy might as well have just said, "Ladies and gentlemen, a guy who's not Adam Sandler."
It was clear from the very beginning that Alan was always going to play the support role for Adam, whether it was on stage or on the screen. He created some extremely memorable characters like 10-Second Tom from 50 First Dates, as well as the frowsy caddy in Happy Gilmore.
All right, give me a club. I'll get it.
Well, I haven't seen this movie in so fucking long.
But Covert always felt like he had to prove himself.
Because back then, I was still like fighting. Like, Like they had to go like, no, Covert's funny. Like, look, I had to grow that beard just to be in Happy
the
Gilmore.
crazy mullet. and
I was like,
everything.
no, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm the guy. I don't have to talk. Just let me be funny and look weird.
And when Alan finally got his opportunity to be the main character in a Sandler film, he crushed it. Grandma's Boy, produced by Happy Madison Productions, was about a 35-year-old stoner and video game tester who gets evicted and has to move in with his grandma and her two old lady roommates. The irreverent comedy only secured $6 million in the box office, but was able to make over $30 million in DVD sales. The
Damn.
numbers seem small, but
Oh my God, niggas was being paid from DVD sales. What the fuck?
Yeah, he forgot about that.
I'm about to, then Netflix came in. Yum 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 yum. yum.
Streaming platform came out.
Yo, I heard a nigga say nowadays if your movie has a $25 million budget, you gotta make over $100 million to break even. It's crazy out here.
box office, but was able to make over $30 million in DVD sales. The numbers seem small, but they 6 times their investment, plus the Sandler fandom loved this film just as much as other classics. This seems
never
like an
seen it.
obvious sign that Covert had potential to be a strong lead, but he only got one other lead role after this in the film Strange Wilderness. After that, he continued to take a backseat and play supporting roles, like in Grown Ups 2, Bedtime Stories, Just Go With It. You could even argue his roles became less significant
What
over the
the
years.
fuck?
But why? Maybe he didn't want to be a star. Maybe he just liked supporting his buddy. Or maybe there just wasn't enough room for Adam to shine while Alan was on screen. Considering he has producer credits on nearly every Sandler film he's
I'll be
acted in,
straight.
maybe behind
Damn.
the scenes is where the team agreed he should be.
You
Plus he has a
didn't
$12 million
mean
net
where?
worth, so Whatever Adams says, eh? But Adams' grind and dedication to be great must not be understated. After securing his spot as a paid regular at the comic strip, he would still stand in the New York City subways performing covers of Beatles.
Yo, Chad, I wish I was funny, bro. I would deadass have done stand-up comedy if I was funny, bro. Seriously. Like, you know that one nigga in your class, you're just like, damn, that nigga could deadass be a comedian.
Songs hoping to get tips from travelers. He got so confident with the guitar that he added it to his stand-up routine. In 1993, he signed a record deal with Warner Brothers. His debut comedy album, They're All Gonna Laugh at You, is actually 2 times platinum and was nominated for a Grammy, and has done countless singing performances throughout his career, with the most notable one being a song dedicated to his late friend Chris Farley.
You know I'm talking about my friend Chris Farley.
It was also during Adams' time at the comic strip that he met Chris Rock. Rock was fresh off his first Hollywood film and just getting established in the NYC comedy scene
Chris
when
Rock's in the
Sandler
Adam
arrived.
Sandler circuit?
Chris saw Adams act and thought he was hilarious.
And I'm watching him, and he does this joke about Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain once scored 100 points in a game.
Cap. But I'm not getting in that bag. Cap.
And Sandler does this joke. He goes, here's my impression of the coach of the other team. Who's got Wilt?
But Chris didn't become a part of Adams' team because he was a star in his own right, with way too much potential to help someone else. As they developed their acts together at the comic strip, they gained support from the club's owner, Richie Tienken. Richie introduced Adam to a talent manager named Barry Moss, who in 1987 was casting for The Cosby Show. Keep in mind, The Cosby Show was the highest viewed sitcom on television for 5 years straight, averaging around 38 million views per episode. Adam auditioned and landed a small role as Smitty in just 4 episodes. From there, he secured a consistent spot telling jokes on Remote Control, which was MTV's very first original non-musical program.
You know, I went to New York last week and I had a great
MTV
time.
fucking
Had a good
fell
time.
off.
I had one of these tour guides who really thought he knew everything, but he didn't know how to fly when I threw him off the Empire State Building. Ah!
Remote Control also hosted college
That was
tours around
so
the country
nasty.
where Adam was invited to perform stand-up. He was becoming somewhat of a micro-celebrity, occasionally being recognized on the streets of New York City. Adam's resume was getting strong. He had a little bit of money saved up and got a taste of Hollywood, so he decided to move to Los Angeles to get that much closer to making it on the big screen. And on the West Coast, there was another small crew of comedians who were about to join the Sandler hype train. Rob Schneider was a few years older than Adam and had already been making noise in the comedy world. He just recently did a performance on David Letterman's Tonight Show, which was basically an early sign that you made it in the 80s. Schneider knew Adam was a buzzing comic, and even saw him and Chris Rock on the cover of a small comedy magazine called The
Yo, did stand-up comedy fall off, Chad?
Fuck yeah.
I remember, like, even in the 2010s, like, when Netflix would drop, like, a Kevin Hart documentary, like, everybody would talk about it. People don't talk about comedy the same way.
Everybody
Maybe it's
think
just
they
my circle's
comedians,
different now,
bro.
and people don't give a fuck about comedy, really. But, like, I like going to comedy shows. I don't
I never
know
been to
that
one. I
many
wanna go to
that
one.
like going. Like, if I went to New York, I would for sure go to the Comedy Cellar or Laugh Factory or just something. Just like one of those
Let me
cool
see.
comedy clubs where you just never know who's going to pop up. You feel me? But I don't know. People don't be doing that nowadays. That's crazy. And it wasn't like that just 10 years ago.
Comedy USA. So Rob was shocked one evening when he was performing a small LA show to see Adam Sandler take the stage.
And I saw his first show out there, and I was the only 2 people really laughing hard was me and him.
Really?
He was laughing at himself, and I was laughing, and I took him out for a beer afterwards, and I said, "Oh man, you're gonna be huge."
Yet again, Adam was not dominating the crowd, but for some reason, another comic was immediately convinced he would be a star. Rob took him out for a beer after his set, and from there he became a part of the Sandler network. Rob helping Adam would not be a waste, as he would create some of the most memorable side characters in the Sandlerverse, such as Ula in 50 First Dates,
Sandlerverse.
Minister in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, and of course, the Townie in The Waterboy.
You can do it! Cut his head off!
However, critics didn't think Schneider was all that special. Schneider received a nomination at the Golden Raspberry Awards for the Worst Supporting Actor for his role as the delivery guy.
They got award shows for the worst? They got award shows for shit like that? Damn!
Guy in Adam's most successful 90s movie, Big Daddy.
In your experience, was Sonny a good father to Julian?
Oh, yes.
They make a terrific pair. They went together like lamb and tuna fish. Lamb and tuna fish? Maybe like spaghetti and meatball?
Sandler was the winner of the Worst Actor Raspberry Award for this film and would go on to win 9 more Golden Raspberries throughout his career. He basically gets nominated for Worst Actor every time he releases a movie.
Yo, them some hating ass niggas, chat. Yo, they some hating ass niggas, man.
When the critics started hating me, I just felt bad for my family. I felt bad for the people who worked hard on the movies, you know, because, I mean, I had so many great actors in the movies, and when we would get done shooting it, they
That's
would
fucked
say to
up.
me, I think the critics are going to like this one, and I'd be like, oh, no. No, they're going to say bad things, and they're probably going to say bad things about you being in it.
But Big Daddy was a $235 million blockbuster hit, and Adam believed in Rob, and he was learning to ignore the critics. They immediately bounced back with Rob as the lead in Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, which earned around $92 million in the box office. But this would be the most profitable film with Rob as a lead. One by one, every film with Rob as a lead would bring a smaller return on investment. The Animal, The Hot Chick, Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, Benchwarmers. They kept the fandom satisfied, but none of them exploded in performance, leading Happy Madison, Adam's production company, to stop writing movies with Rob as the lead. Rob still believed in his capability of being a main character, but the 2 movies he released outside of Happy Madison's productions were utter failures, which kind of proves that without Sandler's team, he couldn't be successful. So he went back to playing support roles, which was fine until he wasn't invited to be in Grown Ups 2, Sandler's second most successful film to date. They're doing Grown Ups 2 without me. Mistake. They should have paid me a lot of money. Well, truthfully, I wasn't sure if I'd have my TV series.
What in the ego? Like, nigga, what? Bro, you just got done flopping. Why would you have these thoughts? They don't even make sense for what we just heard, bro.
So it was an availability thing. But at the end of the day, they should have said, what money does Rob need? Rob was given 5 lead roles by Sandler and dozens of support roles over the years. Despite critics relentlessly trashing his work, Sandler still gave him as much opportunity as he could. The moment Adam didn't bend over backwards for Schneider, he got angry and went to the media. This animosity led to Schneider not working with Sandler for years. They eventually mended their relationship in 2015 because Rob understood without Happy Madison, he wasn't finding success. Luckily, Sandler doesn't hold grudges because he never
Nah, hey, look, not to read into their relationship, we don't know, but isn't that some hoe ass shit, chat? Like, the fact that he thought he was bigger than everyone, went out on his own, flopped, and then when he came back, he was expecting everyone to bend over backwards for him. Turns out the nigga just wasn't available, so it is what it is. They shot the movie, and then this nigga got tight about that, and then when he realized he definitely had no motion without Adam, nigga came back.
That ass nigga.
Now look, I don't know the details of their relationship, some shit like that, but that does seem like some clout chasing. That seems like some opportunistic activity.
forgot how many favors Rob did for him early on in his career.
Everyone in this room tonight has made my life fun. People always would ask me, those bad reviews you get, how does that make you feel? Make you feel like shit? And I'd say, nah, it really doesn't. I think the reason I get to say that didn't hurt me is because so many of you guys in this room made me feel great about what we've done together. And all my fellow comedians, actors, writers, collaborators, crew members, people on the streets, my family, my kids, my forever girl, Jackie, all make me feel like the critics didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So thank you for all that.
Schneider got Adam in at the Improv in the late 80s, which was the hot club for upcoming comedians in LA. At the Improv, Adam befriended comedian Judd Apatow. They even got an apartment together.
Adam's the next Eddie Murphy. You just knew it even when he was bombing. It wasn't like he was killing on stage and you thought that as a result of the success of his performances.
Right.
We found him hilarious. The crowds was hit and miss. But there was a certain charisma which
You know what that means though, Chet? That means you don't need everyone to see what you see.
You don't.
You don't, bro. You just need someone to see what you see,
Right.
bro. That's facts, dog. Like, you don't need to win everybody over, bro. Some niggas is gonna hate you regardless, man.
which is the charisma which led to everything that happened that you felt when he was in his early 20s. If anything, hotter because he had so much energy as a friend to make you laugh. because he wasn't making movies. So all that energy that he's put into his career in the early days was just used on you at dinner.
What you are starting to see is how valuable it is to keep people around you that believe in you. Adam has now developed a network of comics and writers who all uplifted him and knew he was hilarious despite crowds of comedy fans not seeing the magic. Ironically, Judd only worked with Sandler once in his career. He would go on to produce tons of movies that you probably think are way funnier than any of Sandler's films. Judd produced Anchorman, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Superbad, Step Brothers, Pineapple Express.
Oh my God, this nigga catalog is crazy.
Well, right. He started bombing.
Bridesmaids, and many other comedy classics. Maybe Judd had a higher standard for comedy and didn't like Sandler's vision for films. Or maybe he was just focused on creating his own legacy. But while Sandler and Judd were living in that LA apartment together, Adam's buddy from NYU, Jack Giaraputo, crashed on their couch for 3 months after realizing he hated law school. Jack would go on to form Happy Madison Productions with Sandler and produce every single film Adam has ever created up until 2015 when he finally retired. But the other leader of the Sandlerverse entered Adam's life during his time at the Improv in the late 80s, David Spade. Spade was impressed with the same material that made Chris Rock a fan.
So I'm gonna tell you one, and you tell me if this is how it goes.
Yes.
You said, you go, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in one game, which is true.
Right.
And he goes, here's my impression of his team in the timeout in the huddle. Hey, Wilt, I'm open, dude. And then you go, here's the coach on the other team during the huddle. Who's covering Wilt? Stay on him, I believe he's hot.
That's right.
Yeah.
I believe he's hot. I know. I used to get so excited to say that joke because it was one of the few that worked.
It's interesting how a simple joke made some of the most promising
I'm
comedians
not getting in that
fully
bag,
invested
bro.
in Sandler.
I'm not.
Aside from SNL, Dave's breakout role was alongside Chris Farley in the comedy classic Tommy Boy, which is actually rated higher than any of Sandler's comedy films. They released another buddy comedy, Black Sheep, the following year. Spade bounced around from movies to TVs to animated films in the late 90s and didn't end up formally working with Adam until 2001, where he was cast as the lead role in Joe Dirt, another Sandlerverse cult classic. Throughout his career, Spade didn't want to ride the coattails of Adam. Around 2006, he started working with him more closely, taking support roles in Grandma's Boy, The Benchwarmers, and of course, Grown Ups.
Everybody's saying they don't want to work
But he has a
with him.
wide resume of sitcom
Whole
roles,
time.
the most notable being on Just
He
Shoot
chimed
Me
up
and
the
Rules of
fucking
Engagement, both highly rated
Empire.
series. He also voiced various animated characters over the years,
What
but the
the
most
fuck?
popular was Kuzco in Emperor's New Groove.
Bro, shit.
He also voiced the video game character Sparks, who was Spyro's dragonfly friend. He even did various commercials and hosted award shows. Clearly, David Spade is the one man we all agree definitely would have been successful even if he wasn't Adam Sandler's friend. In fact, it's actually Adam who was lucky to be David Spade and Rob Schneider's friend, because they're the reason he got on Saturday Night Live in 1990. Comedian
Yo, Saturday Night Live used to have motion. Yo, Saturday Night Live used to have motion, bro. You would go there and your whole career would change overnight because everybody was watching, bruh. Damn, they still do this shit now, but it don't hit the same, man. Niggas don't give a fuck no more.
Dennis Miller was the anchor of
Wow.
SNL's Weekend Update segment. Weekend
I
Update
forgot
was their
about
highest viewed
SNL, bro.
program, and at the time, hosting it was an extremely coveted position in the comedy world. Miller scouted Spade and Schneider at the Improv and invited them to audition for SNL. They secured their spot as writers at the end of season 15 in 1990. Then Chris Rock and Chris Farley were added to the SNL team in season 16. With 3 of Sandler's comedy buddies advancing their careers in New York, Adam got a different opportunity to be the star in his very first film, Going Overboard. Going Overboard was about a bartender on a cruise ship who dreams of becoming a comedian. The movie never hit theaters and is considered by many to be the least funny film ever made. Luckily, his career would be saved when Schneider, Spade, and Rock
Now I
convinced the
wanna watch
SNL
it.
casting
Well,
director
right,
to give
no.
Sandler a shot. He moved back to New York City and was added to the writing team in December of 1990. Sandler shared a tiny office with Chris Rock, Chris Farley, and David Spade. The crew felt like they finally made it, but Schneider was the one standing out.
He was the first giant on our show.
It was been a good time.
Yeah.
Dennis Miller used to walk around going,
Hey?
the Schneider man hit? And he'd kind of throw it in all our faces, be like,
What do you guys
What
got
do
to
you
come
guys-
up with something?
yeah, Schneider man, that's all I hear about.
The guys would write jokes specifically designed for them, as they often relied on physical comedy, with Farley being the overweight maniac and Adam portraying goofy characters with silly accents. It didn't hit the same when anyone besides Sandler, Farley, or Spade delivered the jokes.
Why, yes!
Landing a job on SNL is basically the best comedy cosign you can receive in the industry, so it becomes much easier to get business opportunities. Adam was landing movie roles left and
Niggas
right.
had no
he played
aura.
Dink in the film Shakes the Clown, Carmine
Starks,
in
thank you for the prime,
Coneheads,
bro.
then landed
KBL,
a
welcome
primary
back.
role
Jim,
as
welcome
Pip
back.
in Airheads. He met Steve Buscemi on the set of Airheads and would go on to cast Steve in over 10 films. Some of the fan favorite characters were the homeless man in Big Daddy or Crazy Eyes in Mr. Deeds.
Crazy eyes. What? Oh, yeah. Hey, Eight. How you doing, pal? I got your pizza for you just the way you like it. Oh, yes.
French fries and Oreos. You know me all too well.
But there was one man that Adam Sandler used as a go-to support role that ended up causing some major controversy. Peter Dante.
Bro.
Hey, Eight. How you doing, pal? I got your pizza for you just the way you like it. Oh, yes.
French fries and Oreos. You know me all.
Bro, French fries and Oreos is fucking. Bro, you gotta see this shit, bro.
Two LDs.
But there was one man that Adam Sandler used as a go-to support role that ended up causing some major controversy.
Both of them niggas
Peter
was
Dante met Adam in 1992 while playing a game of one-on-one basketball at Gary.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. I can take Adam. Niggas might not believe in me, bro. I know y'all seen all the Adam Sandler clips. I can take Adam in some basketball, my nigga. I'm telling you, bro. I can take Adam in some. Why is that pause? That's not cap. But how come y'all niggas don't believe me? Like, if y'all don't believe in me, who's supposed to believe in me, bro?
Yourself, nigga.
He's not like y'all talking about Adam Sandler like he's like the second coming of Michael Jordan.
Nigga, you act like you
The
are.
two hit it off
You
immediately.
can't even beat
Peter
Kai.
would go on to have almost the exact same career path as Alan Covert, playing supporting roles and wacky side characters in various Happy Madison productions. He was the quarterback in The Waterboy.
I fucking hated him when I was young, bro.
Watch where you're going, needle dick.
The burnt-out friend in Mr. Deeds. He even got to co-star with Alan in Grandma's Boy. It seemed like Dante was a go-to side character for Sandler all the way up until Grown Ups 2.
I used to
During
be
filming
cooking
Grown
niggas
Ups
with
2,
that in high
Adam
school.
made Peter live within a mile of him so they could play basketball every day, which was often 3 times per day. But one major mistake would end their friendship forever. In 2013, just after Grown Ups 2 released, Dante was checking into the JW Marriott Hotel in Santa Monica. According to the police report, the actor grew upset because he wanted a new room key and was not happy that staffers didn't recognize him as an actor. He then proceeded to call the black staff member the N-word as well as the F-slur, as well as lashing out at a Mexican valet worker saying, "Do you know where you are? We don't need you." Someone from TMZ saw Dante strolling the streets days later and asked him about his belligerent antics.
At least according to this guy. He's gonna list all of his black friends for us.
I know what you've done as Gee, I was gonna ask my black ass markers can be about me.
After doubling down on his racist remarks, he never worked in another Adam Sandler film ever again.
Bro,
For the past
what?
10 years, Dante has been living the high life, seemingly strung out on drugs and alcohol as the lead singer of a failing reggae band performing dive bars in Southern California.
What the
His real
fuck?
life today is the exact persona depicted in his most popular film, Grandma's Boy. But Adam's comedic persona that he created on
That is
SNL in the
so
90s laid the
crazy.
foundation for his film career.
Hey, canteen boy, can I help you with something?
Not right now, Mr. McGrath. Just get myself situated.
Oh, well, you know, I wouldn't want to rush you, canteen boy, because you're one crazy, wild man.
Whatever.
I fucking hate it.
Hello. Let me water your plants. Please, while you're gone, let me water your plants. Go at Smiley Boy.
Hey, I'm Smiley Boy. Look at me. I got a big smile on my face. Now give me some candy. Turkey, turkey, dee. Turkey, turkey, dap. I eat the turkey and I take a nap.
Adam met Tim Meadows in
maybe it's funnier
1993,
with
who would go on to
context.
feature in a handful of Happy Madison productions. By 93 and
Well, he
94,
did.
Adam was now a permanent on-screen
Really?
talent on SNL, and
If
even
he ain't
recruited his
had none of
first
his
Sandler Squad
supporting
member
roles,
Tim Herlihy to write for the show.
his
But
films
some
wouldn't be
people,
shit.
like Bill Murray, hated Adam's SNL material. Bill
Like
Murray
the
was an
older-
SNL
like the
veteran,
older
returning in
one,
1993 to host, and wasn't very happy with the material he was seeing.
Damn, I didn't think of like the villain in the story. Some super villain shit.
Which Bill Murray are you gonna get? The nice Bill Murray? You're gonna get the tough Bill Murray.
Yeah.
You know, he's super nice to fans. He wasn't very nice to us.
Interesting.
He hated us on Saturday Night Live when he hosted.
He did?
Wow. Absolutely hated us, seething.
Saturday Night Live Season 20, which was the last season dominated by the Sandler crew, is up for debate as the worst season in the show's history. Because of the low ratings, NBC threatened to fire Lorne Michaels, who created and produced SNL since 1975. Sandler thought he was crushing it. I mean, him and his buddies thought the show was funny, but nobody else did, and it reflected in the viewership. SNL needed a fresh reset, so they fired Adam, Farley, Schneider, and Spade the following year.
Damn!
I was fired. I was fired. NBC said that I was done. Then I made over $4 billion at the box office.
Ocean! What?
So I guess you could say I won.
Billy Madison released 2 months before Adam was fired from SNL. This was his first movie released through his own production company and secured a $16 million profit at the box office. Not only that, but the film became a cult classic, a part of American comedy culture. Getting fired from SNL was the best thing to ever happen to Adam Sandler. It was now 1995. He had momentum after a banger film and had a network of more than a dozen comedians, writers, and actors who believed in his vision.
Was there a pivot point in your career where you just knew this is it? It's go time.
That's a good one, Nicky. Billy Madison. Billy Madison is when we started going. Come on, just all my buddies. We all got together and we're like, let's do what we think is funny.
Yeah.
And then we didn't stop doing it together, and we made a bunch of movies together. Yeah.
From there, his process was very simple. Here's how I think
I
about
wanna go to
scripts,
film
Sandler
school.
jokes. I sit in my room, think up an idea, then I call up all my friends and they say, "That's awesome, you're the best." Although he was kidding here, this isn't really far from the truth. Adam is a true testament of how valuable being a leader is. He is also the product of someone who had friends who deeply cared about him and believed in him when he had nothing. Instead of leaving those people in the dust, he designed his whole career around them, making sure that they were able to stay employed by creating formulaic comedy films with bizarre plots, stupid side characters, screaming, dad jokes, silly songs, then rinse and repeat for 30 years. And yeah, sure, critics hated basically all of his films, but he doesn't have to listen to your criticism because he doesn't operate in your standards of quality. He clearly is a much better actor when pursuing serious roles, such as Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. Yet he still doesn't care that critics are finally starting to praise his acting. He probably is only pursuing this next dramatic role in Spaceman because he knows comedy films are dead these days. Some people think Adam just surrounded himself with yes men, hacky comics who had nothing going for them, so they latched onto their golden ticket in Hollywood. And I'm not gonna lie, his early stand-up and most of the stuff that was on SNL, I probably wouldn't have seen the Adam Sandler hype. But they clearly saw something in him that we didn't, and they were right. He made $4 billion making silly movies with his best friends and family while traveling around